Loud opinion, so turn it up and get ready.
All right,
to
welcome
rant.
back to the Read It Rant podcast, where the place where the books hit the table, authors get the microphone, and always we don't sugarcoat anything. Today, we're going to dive into a world where science fiction, dystopian survival, fantasy, technology, and the supernatural collide in one seriously unusual concept. Now, imagine a post-apocalyptic Earth. Civilization as we know it has been devastated. A group of rodent warriors is trying to survive in what remains of the world, and their enemy isn't simply another army, another survivor, or even a traditional monster. It's something that began inside a computer. A demonic computer virus known as Xenothana has somehow transcended the digital world and acquired the ability to take physical form. Standing against her is Widget, an albino mouse possessing divine powers alongside a group of warriors including Shadow, Phoenix, Jeremy, Abigail, Tiffany, Lars, Sierra, and Bartholomew. And apparently defending or defeating Xenothana once is not enough because she keeps coming back. That's the setup behind Shadows of Survival, Widget's Destiny, the first book in J Wright's Shadows of Survival series. And what immediately makes this concept stand apart is the collision of genres and ideas. It is post-apocalyptic science fiction, artificial intelligence, and computer technology with supernatural evil, animal protagonists, divine abilities, friendship, survival, and a battle against an enemy that refuses to stay defeated. So tonight we're going to go behind the concept. Where did this come from? Why rodents? Why make a computer virus the villain? And how do you balance science fiction with supernatural elements? And what does it take to create an ensemble of characters capable of surviving the end of the world? Tonight we're going to find out. And don't worry, we're going to keep this conversation completely spoiler free because if this story sounds like something you want to experience, we're not going to ruin the journey for you. And I do have to welcome my good friend Jay Wright to the Read It Rant podcast. And before we get into Shadows of Survival, could you introduce yourself to everybody watching or listening? Who is Jay Wright outside of being an author?
Well, I grew up in a small town in Saskatchewan, and I grew up on a small farm, so I didn't have access to cable or nothing like that. So I spent a lot of my time, watching movies and playing my video games, also going to school. Um, the one thing as a kid is I loved cartoons. If it wasn't animated, I wasn't going to watch it. And some of my favorite cartoons were like The Secret of Nim, The Great Mouse Detective, things like that. I don't know what it was about like animated rodents that just fascinated me, probably because they were just so different than watching human beings doing their thing. So that's why I chose to go with anthropomorphic critters because there's just not many books or movies out there that have them.
Now, with like the story of Nim and stuff, I'm guessing that's where the storytelling really began for you. Were you somebody who always imagined characters and worlds, or did writing come a lot later?
A little bit of both, really. Like, I usually just kind of created these fantasy worlds in my head to escape reality because we all know how the world is. But
Crazy.
like I said, like Secret and Nim came out when I was just a few years old, and I just thought it was the greatest thing ever because it was something new at the time, animated, and it was all about mice and all that. And then when I was 10 years old is when I wrote my first short story about an alien that came to Earth and all that. And about 6 years ago, I got back into my writing. Now, like when I was in grade 7 to 9, we had a creative writing class in school, which was like the only class I looked forward to. And the teacher just loved my work. And I'm not trying to toot my horn, but she said I had the thickest writing folder in the class. So that was something that kind of made me proud of myself, give me something
Mhm.
to build up with. Um, I wrote just for fun, like some short stories on and off, and then life got busy. I quit writing for about 20 years. And then when 2020 happened, I just got back into it because I just had to keep my mind busy and I wanted to, I just had to. I just had that feeling, get back into my writing. So I started writing some short stories and then I started creating these characters. My first character was Widget. And I'm like, okay, so who is Widget? And I'm like, okay, she's going to be a mouse. Well, let's have her different. Okay, let's have her an albino mouse. But that wasn't enough. So I'm like, let's give her some divine powers. And her powers consist of healing. She can, with her aura, whatever. She can heal wounds and stuff like that, and she can protect. She can summon these spiritual barriers that can deflect almost anything. And in this story, her powers have developed to the point where she can conjure weapons like a double-sided spear and golden orbs, and she can use those as weapons.
Now, what really made you want to, write like post-apocalyptic or science fiction? What personally attracted you to that specific genre for your books?
Well, I've always loved science fiction since I was a kid as well, like the RoboCop and Terminator movies. Um, but those are always about robots and stuff like that. And yes, there are robots in my story, but I also like fantasy. So let's combine the two, sci-fi fantasy. And yes, there are robots in the book, and the powers give it the fantasy aspect. But then I'm thinking, who's going to be the villain as I write my stories? I had to come up with something. So like there's already like computer virus enemies out there in movies. Yeah. But let's give it a twist. I thought, what if this computer virus was able to take a physical form and have demonic powers? She can like throw fireballs, lightning bolts, and download what's called the Zeni virus into other robots. It's like a new age of computer programming. So I figured take one twist and give it two more.
So, what is like the biggest learning curve in creating the villain, the characters, and then actually sitting down and constructing that?
That is the most challenging part because people want a backstory as well. And that's where, like, I am writing the prequel to Widget's Destiny, which gives the backstory to all my characters, including like Widget's birth, how Shadow became a mouse because he used to be human, and how Zenith Tana became created and self-aware. So all that will be in my prequel too. There's a little gist of it in my books, but not very detailed because the book is focusing on the story itself. Like for the last 6 years, I was writing all these short stories just, for a hobby. And then I kept creating more and more characters, and I'm thinking, I'm at the point I actually got something where I can create a story with all my characters. And I actually was not originally going to publish Widget's Destiny, but I got about halfway through, about chapter 10 or 11 or so, and I'm thinking, I'm going to publish this. What have I got to lose? Because I would send these short stories to some friends and family, and they had so much nice stuff to say about them. And they even said, you should publish your work. And I'm like, yeah, I'm my own hardest critic. I'm not good enough and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'm writing and writing. So I publish it, and I've gotten not a lot, but I've just started, but I've gotten good reviews on it, such positive feedback. And I'm like, okay, I'm glad I published it.
And I like your short films you have on your Facebook with Widget. They're pretty gnarly, man. You're one heck of an animator. When you create that kind of stuff. Speaking of Widget, what made Widget the right character through whom to tell this particular story?
Well, yeah, she says hi. I got stuffies of all my characters. Um,
You should sell them, man. They're cool. They're like for kids and stuff.
I had those custom made, so
Oh,
I can't really market them.
okay.
Anyway, Widget was, like I said, the first character I created. So she's my brainchild in a way, kind of my, I don't know, like fantasy daughter in my head, I suppose. But anyway, I find it easier for me to write in the first person view when I write. So that's why Widget tells the story, because that way it's hard to explain. Like a part of me feels I can capture the emotions a little bit better, like as from a narration point of view. Because
Mm-hmm.
when I write in first person, it's like, yeah, Widget's telling the story, but there's a part of me in her too. So it's like I can capture the emotions better and just connect a lot better.
And I know with a first person POV, I know it's like you. I think if I'm correct, you experience the story as the character is living it. You don't write it in a third person POV, where the first person POV really helps it become sort of a cinematic storytelling mode, which I love. I think that reaches a reader emotionally so much deeper. And when you're writing an animal protagonist, how do you decide really which qualities should feel distinctly non-human while still making the character emotionally relatable to human readers?
Well, that's another challenge too, because it's really hard to explain, buddy. But it was one heck of a challenge. But I actually, like when I was writing the Widget's Destiny, I really had to put myself into the story. Okay, yeah, Widget's there, but I had to picture myself in Widget's shoes. I think she wears shoes, but like you have to really put yourself in there and imagine. Okay, what would Widget be feeling? What challenges is she going to be facing? And what possible scenarios is Zenith Tana going to throw at her? And how is Widget going to defend herself from her demonic fireballs and all that stuff, you know?
Hmm. So this story takes place in like a not too distant future after Earth has undergone an apocalypse. Now, without revealing like too much, um, what kind of world are we really stepping into when the story begins?
Well, the prologue, um, it starts basically present day. My characters are enjoying a nice sunny day in the park, throwing a frisbee, Shadow's telling some stories. And then Widget decides to go take a nap under the tree because
Hmm.
she's just contemplating life. It's a nice day. She's just enjoying it and the sounds of nature. But towards the end of the prologue, it kind of changes to all of a sudden the nuclear missiles are launched and the Earth gets destroyed. So my characters somehow manage to find safety in a bunker. And chapter one, it begins as it takes place 15 years later after all the chaos, and Widget gives an introduction to all the characters and some of the trials they had to go through to get up to the point of the story.
So, how much world building really did you really develop behind the scenes that readers may never directly see? Because I talked to a lot of authors, and I'm like, man, I did so much world building in the outline, and I had to like scrap a lot of it. Did you do that?
Um, yes and no. Like I kind of had the story in my head. I had one other story, um, kind of tentatively, not really penciled, just thought of. It started out a lot different. All my characters were actually going to be in a collapsed building from an earthquake, but I'm like, that's not going to be enough to really write a book. So I figured, what if rodents survived a nuclear war and they got to go up against this computer virus that takes a physical form? Like 15 years pass in this bunker and they're training so hard to get stronger and fight better and prepare for the worst case scenario. Because Shadow in my prequel has actually had a glimpse of it. Because, like I said, it's in the prequel, it's all explained, and it's mentioned in the book. He actually accidentally steps into the future and he sees a world where Zenithana has taken over and is ruling the world currently. So he's
So,
got to
did
go
you?
back in time.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry. No, I'm just giving a little teaser from my prequel.
Go
So he
ahead,
goes
because I
back
wanna,
in
I want,
time.
I want to read it when it comes out.
He goes back in time and fights against Zenithana, and then comes back to the present. But somehow she's still around. So he's got to fight her again and a few more times.
So, did you like establish rules for how the world functions before you began writing, or did those rules like develop organically as the story grew?
Okay, I'm sorry, you're kind of echoing. What was that?
Did you establish rules for how this world functions before you began writing, or did those rules develop organically as the story grew?
Oh, I see. A little bit of both. Like, because as I write, sometimes, like when I write, I play the scenes in my head, and sometimes my fingers can't keep up on my keyboard, and it's like one thing leads to another, and it kind of just almost writes itself, at least for me. But then also when I write, sometimes I'll think of the ending and I'll think, okay, how do I want to get to this point, or how do I want to get to the middle point of this? And then you got to fill out everything in between. So sometimes I plan in sections, like blocks. Let's say
Hmm.
4 different key points, major events in the story. And I'm like, okay, these are cool. Now, how much can I put in all between and make the story that much better too?
When you're creating a devastated Earth, how did you make the setting feel dangerous without really making every chapter simply about surviving the environment?
Again, that was another tough one. Each chapter has its challenges, like these rodents, mice, and there's a chipmunk and a bat. They got to fight.
That's
They got to fight against these robots. And yeah, they start off small. There's just cockroaches and scorpions, but eventually they encounter robots that are nearly a foot tall. And in one point in the book, there's robots that are 30 feet tall. So I'm not sure. Well, I know, but who knows how rodents are going to go up against 30-foot tall robots?
hmm And I know I probably butchered that Xenothena, but she's not really, or that computer virus isn't really described as like a conventional villain. She's really a demonic computer virus that has somehow moved beyond code and gained a physical presence. Where did that concept originate?
I just kind of came up with it, honestly. Like, if it's already out there, I never found anything, but it's like I had to have something physical for my characters to fight. Like, she can either go into cyberspace and hide, or she can come out to the real world and she could be sitting right there like you or me. But the other challenge is she's still got this spiritual essence in her.
hmm
So sometimes, for example, Shadow's sword ain't gonna do nothing to her. So that's where Widget's powers and even Bartholomew's powers come in.
Yeah, no, she's got like like a Ultron kind of like AI, kind of like physical manifestation. She can hide in the internet, and then she can also create herself through like different means of physical manifestations.
Yeah,
Um,
and she can even replicate herself too.
oh shoot,
That's how she keeps coming back. Like,
that's pretty gnarly. What interested you about taking what interested you about taking something we normally think of as a completely digital computer virus and transforming it into a tangible threat?
oh, I don't know. Just had to go with it really. Like, here she is here.
Oh shoot, how much did all
She's
those
evil.
cost, man? Jeez.
More than I care to admit. They're not cheap to make,
No, they're not.
but they are so cool. Like
hmm
something physical.
hmm
Um, yeah.
So, without really revealing anything about her origins that readers are supposed to discover, what makes the Xenovirus frightening beyond simply being powerful?
Well, the Zeni virus, it's that one's hard to explain. Like all the robots my characters fight are programmed with it. So Xenoton doesn't have to sit there at a computer and upload a whole bunch of code. She can just basically touch a robot and upload the Zeni virus into it, and it's programmed with her will, basically. So any scorpion or robot, it's basically Zenithana in a robot going up against my characters instead of because she can create this army.
So,
Because
when you
that
were,
way,
oh, go ahead.
sorry, go ahead.
You go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
You can. Huh. Mm.
Because I didn't really come up with the Zeni virus until Widget's Destiny. So it was just an additional challenge, which another one of my characters, Glitch, there she is here. Glitch is a
Okay.
cyborg mouse from the Andromeda Galaxy.
hmm
And I created her especially for Widget's Destiny. She's not in the prequel or nothing at all. So as a cyborg and as any virus, maybe it's a slight spoiler alert. Let's just say there's a big conflict when Xenoton on Glitch battle.
Oh, shoot.
Hmm.
Oh. So, when you were building like Shadow and Widget, did you create Widget first and all the ensemble, or did you gradually surround her with other characters, or did you envision them as an ensemble from the beginning?
It was gradual, actually. Um, yeah, I created Widget in the short stories 6 years ago. But Shadow, he's actually based on a character I created about 20 years ago.
Oh.
Um, just in some short stories I wrote for fun. I never really finished any of them, but he just kind of stuck in the back of my mind. Um, But Widget came first, Shadow came next, and he's called Shadow because he's mysterious. No one really knows his history. Um, he's just out there, but yet he's a protector. And then afterwards, I figured Widget needed a best friend, so I created Phoenix, who is also another albino mouse with powers, and her ability allows her to see through time. She's a couple years younger than Widget, but also, as mentioned in my book, I had it so 95% of the albino mouse population has been blessed with divine powers. So there's a few out there that don't have it. Phoenix's parents, for example, they never displayed anything. Same with Widget's parents. Sometimes it can skip a generation.
The squibs.
And then I created Jeremy and Abigail. Oh, I'll get them out here for you. Jeremy and Abigail are fraternal twin brother and sister. Jeremy's a mouse and Abigail's a chipmunk. Yes, they're still twins, fraternal. You gotta have some little ones coming around.
Mm-hmm.
And then Bartholomew, he's a very old, not very old, but he's another albino mouse.
That's
He
cool.
basically has elemental magic.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's Lars. He's kind of a big, dumb, tough friend, big sweetheart. Give you the shirt off his back. He didn't really discover his powers until an adventure in the prequel when he met Widget and Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a spoiler in that. And then she's actually my favorite, Tiffany, most adorable character I got. She's a bat chipmunk hybrid, so she's got wings, she can fly. And in Widget's destiny, she is mute due to the trauma of losing her parents in the war.
So,
and also, I'm not done yet.
Oh, shoot.
I still got more here.
Dang.
And then I figured, when I was trying to create more characters, I got to do something different. So I created Sierra. She's a Strajoran mouse from Mars who came to Earth. So she's super intelligent and super strong.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I just had to create an alien, and I went with the classic green fur.
I'm assuming that all of these entire ensemble has different personalities. Did they ever clash?
Oh yeah, like Shadow here, he's pretty stubborn, like we all are at our age. So sometimes Shadow and Phoenix, they can tend to butt heads a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
but when it comes to battle time, they do fight well together. And then in the book, Widget mentions she struggles with her father-daughter relationship with Shadow, because Shadow, he's basically the leader of the group now, and he's focused on survival. So unconsciously, he kind of put aside his fatherly instincts and became kind of the drill sergeant. So Widget kind of struggles with that a little bit. She wants her dad. She doesn't want a drill sergeant. She just wants her dad. But all that's explained in the book.
Now, do all of them, since they're such a huge ensemble cast of protagonists, do they all have different personalities or philosophies or methods of dealing with how the xenovirus should be confronted?
Yeah. Well, Shadow, he's just get out there and destroy it. But at the same time, Widget, how do I put this? She's a little afraid to speak up, but she does illustrate her point when need be. Like, I can't say much without spoiling much. But like Sierra, she's kind of the lieutenant, and she's like, "Yes, sir," and all that stuff. But at the same time, she does have a huge caring side. Like, Sierra's very compassionate and helps keep everyone's heads in the game. Phoenix, she's like, she gets bored easy. She's like, yeah, let's go and do it already. But Lars, like I said, he's dumb, but he is super tough and he is loyal to a T. And he would give his life to protect the team.
Hodor.
Yep. Tiffany. Tiffany's actually very timid because she's the youngest of the group. She's about 17 or 18 in the story. And like I said, she's mute from trauma. Very, very timid. But at the same time, she's not afraid to get out there, fly around, and patrol. She knows that's her mission, and she holds herself to it. Jeremy and Abigail. Jeremy's a little reckless because how old is he? I think he's about 20 in the book. He starts off in my prequel as about 5 years old. He's reckless, energetic, very enthusiastic, but he's also very tough. Abigail, she's she's very intelligent. She can build gadgets from scrap, and she's not the biggest fighter, but she can fight. Um, so like Widget and the twins and Phoenix, they kind of hold each other together. Like they're kind of a group of friends and cousins and all that.
So, which character was the most hardest to write, and which was the most fun to write?
um, Hardest to write. That's a tough one. I gotta go with honestly Zenith Tana because I gotta keep in mind that she's only a computer virus, but yet she's still physical and she's got these demonic powers. But at the same time, I got to ask myself, do I give her a limit? But honestly, I don't give her any limits. And the most fun to write, I got to say, was Glitch. And my third book, The Heroine from Andromeda, gives her backstory. But the thing is, like Glitch is a cyborg. She's a cyborg mouse. So you got that combination of robotics and humanity in her. So, but I also got to think, how much emotion do I give her? And do I give her any limits as well? So she's she does have some humanity in her, but at the same time, she's still got this cold response of a robot. But I still
Hmm.
had a lot of fun with her, and writing my third book, I actually that was my favorite book to write.
Is survival in the story primarily physical, or your characters also dealing with emotional and psychological survival?
Yeah, there's a lot of psychological and emotional survival. Like prime example, Widget's father-daughter relationship with Shadow. It's a big struggle um, because Shadow's all about, let's get to work, and he's like, all of, he puts all of his emotions aside just to focus on survival, and he does a good job. Don't get me wrong, but there is one scene in my book. It was after a big battle, and Shadow assigns Tiffany to aerial patrol the next day. And there is one part in that scene where Widget speaks her mind. Like Shadow's going on and on. Okay, we got to go find the system core and all that. And then Widget says, we can't just roam around the city looking for something that might not even exist. And then Shadow's like staring at her and all like, and he's like nose to nose with her. And he says, you're right. And Widget's like, what the hell? So that was kind of a, I don't know what you really want to call it there. But after all that, she just kind of goes to her room and she has a little bit of a breakdown because the last 15 years of like surviving in this bunker, it's everything's just caught up to her. She's tired, she's emotionally fatigued, and she just wants everything to go back to the way it was. So there's a good chapter about all that.
How much do loyalty and sacrifice factor into the world?
I'm sorry, what?
How much do loyalty and sacrifice factor into this world?
Lots. Lots. There's even one chapter called Lars's Sacrifice, but I'm not going to spoil that one for you. But then at the same time, like I said earlier, he would die to protect everybody, especially Widget. Because Lars and Widget in my prequel, he is a little bit older than her, but they have become like very close friends, and he's kind of her bodyguard in a way. So like he's always looking out for her, and Widget looks up to him. And in this book, there's a little bit of romance. Like Widget's about 25 in the book. Lars is, I don't know, maybe 38, 39 or so. So not a little bit of an age gap, but but I will say there's no big romance. There's no spice in my book. It's clean for the young adult reader. It's just a close friendship, a close bond. And it's like basically best friends next to Phoenix, of course.
What do you hope readers connect emotionally with beneath the science fiction premise?
Mm. Well, so far people have said like they really relate to all the characters, especially Widget. Um, I even had some people tell me they cried during the book, they've laughed. So that tells me I really caught the emotion.
That's good, especially from that first person POV. It allows
Mhm.
a lot more cinematic style writing, where you can actually, I don't like the third person POV writing style. It's very, to me, it reads dry and boring, like a history tech, not like a history textbook, but like a boring book. Um, that's like a biography that's describing somebody else's life rather than telling me a story. Um,
Mhm.
but what did your actual writing process look like for this book? Are you an outline everything author, or you discover the story while writing?
A little bit of both. Like sometimes I'll get an idea in my head that'd be like towards the end of the book, let's say, and I'll write it down on some notes on my computer or my phone if I'm out and about somewhere so I don't forget about them. But at the same time, I also just kind of make it up as I go. Like I'll write one sentence, I'm like, ooh, this will be good that happens next. And so it's a good balance of the both. Like I'll outline, and I don't even use half of the ideas I come up with. Sometimes I do scrap a lot, and then down the road after I write, I'm like, oh crap, maybe I should have put that in there. But no, honestly, I make a lot of it as I go. But I do have some outline. Like sometimes I'll plan how I want the ending to be and what can happen. Like I'll say, well, I can't say without spoiling nothing. Okay, I'm like, okay, this is how the book's going to end. But then once I get there, I'm like, ooh, I'm going to add a cliffhanger. And here I got, before I know it, I got ideas for a second book coming out. So that's where the prequel came from, too.
Huh. What's harder for you to write? Action scenes, emotional scenes, dialogue, or world building?
Um, I'm going to have to say action scenes because I got to make sure I have a lot of detail in there. Like I can't just say Shadow swings a sword at the robot. I got to say he jumps up, dives down, grits his teeth, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Emotional scenes, they're no easier. Um, but I somehow I don't find them as hard as an action scene because especially when I got all my characters in the same battle fighting up against 100 robots, whatever. Also got to divide it up into okay, in this paragraph or two, Shadow fights this robot, and this next one, Phoenix does her thing, and then the twins do their thing. So half a chapter can be one battle with all
Huh.
my characters.
How many drafts did you go through when you wrote your manuscript before you felt comfortable putting it into the reader's hands?
Um, Honestly, it was just one draft, but I did quite a bit of editing. I didn't throw out a whole manuscript at all, amazingly. But there were some chapters, okay, like for example, chapter 6 turned into chapter 7, or vice versa. Quite a bit of stuff got moved around, um, stuff like that.
So,
But it was the original manuscript, just heavily edited, and honestly, there's a couple spelling mistakes I still missed.
I know when I'm writing my book, and I know I'm doing it chapter by chapter because I can't write without editing. So as soon as I see like a developmental edit or a line edit part, I'm like, I gotta go back, and then I'm rewriting the whole manuscript because of that one stupid error, and my brain
Mhm.
hates me. I swear to God. Um,
Yeah,
oh,
that's what I do too. Like I'll write
mhm,
one chapter, okay, I'll write it, and I'll go back up, catch any spelling mistakes, look at it, make sense. Okay, go on to the next one. Then when I'm done the entire thing, I go back to the beginning, read through it carefully, and I still catch stuff. And believe it or not, I go through it a second time, and
mhm,
then a third time, then a fourth time. I
uh-huh.
basically read my book darn near 10 times before I publish it, and there's still stuff I miss.
How many
That's the joys of
chapters do
being
you
an indie
reread?
author.
How many chapters have you rewritten over and over? Like I literally went back in my first chapter, even my prologue, and I'm like, all right, there's a gap here. We gotta elaborate on that. Oh, I thought of something different. Like I did that probably 12 times within 2 chapters, and I am like, dude, like come on, we gotta get the end of this book.
uh, I can't tell you how many chapters I've written, but I'm one of the guys that like just write to get it done, and I'll just get back to it later. But then, like I said, when I go back to my editing and reread it 10 times, sometimes a chapter will get rewritten.
What has it been like, seeing readers encounter Widget in this world for the very first time?
Um, they get quite surprised. Like some of the reviews I've had, like they've told me, like, well, rodents aren't their go-to characters. They still enjoy the story and they still connect with them. So that tells me, again, I did something right. And it's like, or even the sci-fi, it's not their cup of tea, but again, they love the characters.
Mhm.
So even if someone doesn't like something in the book, there's still something they like.
Hmm.
And a lot of them say they can really connect with Widget and even Tiffany. Like a lot of people seem to like Tiffany. She's just adorable.
Has anybody interpreted something different in the story from what you originally intended?
Um, Not that I can really think of. I have been asked, like I mentioned near the beginning, like Shadow used to be human and he turned into a mouse. So they asked me, did everyone turn into a mouse from a human beforehand? I'm like, well, no. I maybe I didn't make it clear enough. But again, that's why I'm coming up with the prequel because the prequel's a compilation of all my short stories leading up to Widget's Destiny. So I'm like, I should have published it first, but I was like, I was so excited to come out with this story. I just kind of got ahead of myself a little bit without giving too much background. Um, so I can understand some of the confusion. Um, but yeah, that's why the prequel's coming.
So if you have the prequel coming, are you doing any spin-offs?
I'm thinking about it. Like, there's a few characters that I could work with, like Bartholomew, for example. He's old, so he's got a lot of history behind him. So I might write a story about him. But all the other characters in the prequel, they get their backstory. Um, yeah, but if I write Bartholomew's story, maybe more ideas will come too. So I'm pretty sure Bartholomew might get one.
And, because the premise is really so visual, have you ever imagined Shadows of Survival as a graphic novel, animated series, film, television show, or video game?
I have actually, like, a very good friend of mine and I, we were hanging out one night and we were actually thinking, what if Widget's Destiny was a video game? So I'm like tapping on my phone, okay, maybe RPG based. What's the battle system going to be? It'd be the same story, I suppose, but I was like, I'm coming up with ideas for that. And actually, I've already written out the screenplay for Widget's Destiny. I'm just hoping to find an animation company to pick it up. So, but even one review I had said they could imagine it as a Netflix series or a movie. So I think that's pretty cool.
It would be pretty cool, man. I'd be amazed if you ever get a Netflix deal or anything, dude. Let me know. I want to
Mhm.
watch it. I love like these kind of animations, like especially when they like I know you I don't know if you ever read Redwall, but back in the day when Redwall first came out, they made it like a actual animated series about it, and
Hmm.
they're like Brian Jacques is one of my favorite authors, and his story features mice, otters, badgers, rabbits, but they're all like widgets.
Hmm.
They're like widget. They do battle, and it's
Hmm.
amazing, and it's beautifully written,
Hmm.
and um, I think even Secret of Nim, that was like one of my favorite stories back in the '80s and the '90s when that movie came out.
Hmm.
I always grew up with it, and it was just so nostalgic, and was so well written, and it kept that YA fantasy. It really introduced me to YA fantasy from an animation standpoint, and that was really led me to start to read YA and then fantasy and then here. um,
Well, you know
but
what? If people keep reading the book and keep giving me the reviews they will, maybe it'll get noticed, and who knows? Maybe I'll pick up a contract to get it into a movie. Who knows?
yeah, I mean that'd
So
be a
really,
pretty badass
so really,
movie.
all my readers can help with that.
Yeah, the more promotion, the better, and
Hmm.
I'm hoping that's what happens to a lot of people because, I mean, trad world could use a big leg up, especially this year. I complain about trad publishing a lot, and indie is hitting so hard right now because you guys write so well. Especially Widget and it's Shadows of Survival and like all your books. It's just they're so cinematically written. It's unreal. Um,
Hmm.
but what have
Well,
you
thank
learned
you.
about? You're welcome. You're welcome. What have you learned about yourself through becoming a published author?
Um, Honestly, I learned that apparently I got a talent to write a great book. Like when I was young, I got ridiculed a lot when I was young, so I never shared anything with anybody.
Hmm.
So this was a big step for me, publishing, and it was like, and now people are reading my work, reading this crazy world and my goofy characters that I made in my head, and they like it. So I'm like, apparently I got some kind of talent that people can enjoy. Um, like even like my family and my friends, they had so much nice things to say, and I'm like, okay, maybe I got a knack for writing. I just wish I had these ideas 20 years ago.
It wasn't the right time.
Hmm.
But
Maybe
what?
not, but
Ah,
better late than never.
there's a time and a place for everything, man. But what has been the most rewarding moment of your writing journey so far?
The most rewarding moment. Honestly, being able to bring all these characters I created in my head and sharing them with the world and seeing all these positive reviews from my readers, like um, reading that they laughed, they cried, and they just enjoyed it so much and got into the story. So it's like um, I bringing my world out for everyone to enjoy. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like my characters, just it's just really nice to share, being able to share all this with in the author community and other readers out there. It's I can't describe it. It's just amazing.
What do you think is the most important for indie authors, especially to take creative risks instead of trying to write, whatever happens to be popular at that moment?
Well, the only thing I can really say about that is just never give up. Just keep going, no matter what. Never get discouraged because there's going to be people out there that don't like what you write, and you know what? That's fine because you can't please everybody. But honestly, if it's a dream you have to get your book out there, do it. Because even for me, like I I doubt I'll get famous, but being able to hold my books in my hands, like in book form, not just a binder that I printed off with my printer, hole punch, put it in there, like an actual book, like it's a dream come true. And follow your dreams and never give up.
What does success as an author personally mean to you?
Success in an author personally. That's a hard one to answer. It's a again, it's an accomplishment because there's so many people I know that have ridiculed me in my life that one cannot do it themselves. So call that what you want, call that mean, whatever. I don't care. But it's also just a world I created out there in the world for the people to enjoy. And it just means so much.
So, for somebody hearing about Shadows of Survival Widget's Destiny for the first time, during this interview, what would you tell them about why they should give Widget in this world a chance?
Well, it's different than anyone's normal read. It's not a common romance novel. It's not your typical whimsical novel. It's a it's a sci-fi fantasy novel, dystopian. It's filled with emotion, and the emotions are real. Like, the emotions can probably relate to a lot of my readers with some of the struggles they had, and the heroics in it itself. Like, everyone needs a hero in their life, and these rodents have the potential. My characters are fighting for the world too. So in my book, you will see they never give up. They just keep going no matter what. And that's what everyone should keep in mind too. Like, just, there's so many people out there just throwing in the towel, and it's like, no, you can't give up. Don't you dare give up. Just keep going. That's basically what I just try and get my readers to believe. Just keep going.
So, what's next for you, man? What books, projects, sequels, or different genres of books you're writing? What can listeners and readers really look forward to?
Yeah, well, like I said, I got the prequel in the works. I got about halfway done chapter 54 today. The book's probably going to be like 70 chapters when I'm done. So I'm debating splitting it up into 2 books, to be honest, because it might be too big. I don't know. I'm still debating. But anyway, but after that, I want to try and work on a 4th book, or technically a 5th book in this series, which takes place after the heroine from Andromeda. I just got to brainstorm some more yet. And then again, I might try and work on some more backstories for my characters. And then the possibilities are endless from there. I debated writing a romance novel, but there's so many of those out there.
Should give it your own twist, man.
Well, maybe.
Yeah, romance and dark romance is popular on Book Talk right now. So, you could reach a broader audience.
Possibly. It's not. I haven't eliminated the possibility.
What would it be about? Like, the premise, and just I'm kind of curious now because I would never have thought you would have said that. Now you got to spill it, man, because you talked about it.
Well, I'm not too sure yet if I would just do a whole different story or take a few of my characters and make a romance novel out of it or something.
Would they be humans or mice?
Well, I think I might keep them as mice still, because that's what they are.
Kind of like a Frog Prince kind of a deal, man.
Yeah, maybe.
Like,
Like I said, like, there's so many possibilities, and right now, like I said, I'm just focusing on finishing this prequel and trying to get the next book out. So I got a few years before I got to worry about that yet.
when do you think the prequel's going to come out?
If I keep going the way I am, it'll be out in time for Christmas.
Oh shoot! Merry Christmas.
Yeah, perfect time to buy some books.
Heck yeah, man! It's never not a time to buy a book. It's always the right time to buy a book. And anybody that says different, you need new friends.
That is true. That is true.
But we got to wrap things up. I really want to thank you for coming on to the Read It Rant podcast and giving us a chance to go behind the scenes of Shadows of Survival, Widget's Destiny. And, for everybody watching or listening, if today's conversation caught your attention, go check out Shadows of Survival, Widget's Destiny, and discover Widget, Zenithena, and this post-apocalyptic world for yourself. And while you're at it, make sure you're going to support, Jay Wright. Check out the book, leave a review on Goodreads or Amazon or wherever you can leave a review online after you finished it. And keep an eye out for whatever comes next in the Shadows of Survival universe. And also buy books 2 and 3 because you're going to want them because they're already out. And don't forget to follow the Read It Rant podcast on TikTok and Facebook, and smash the subscribe button on YouTube, and follow us, on Spotify so you don't miss our upcoming author interviews, book reviews, deep dives, and everything else happening here at the Read It Rant podcast. Jay, man, once again, thank you for joining me. And for everybody watching and listening, until next time, embrace the rant, because Read It and Rant is out.